No creature could survive Deathworld. The very air was a blistering hurricane of acid vapor. Any who set foot on the planet were torn to molten viscera before drawing first breath. But humanity needed to conquer this cursed rock or die. Joseph Coleman choked down the last of his whiskey. He gazed around a dingy space station bar, neon signs flickering in the smoggy dimness. Grimy glasses clinked, muffled curses echoed from smoldering back-alley games. A tall, pallid form slid onto the stool beside him. Captain Coleman. Joseph squinted as his eyes adjusted. An Acamarian, reedy frame, powder blue skin, silver saucer eyes. Name's Boron, the alien said. Scientist, I study worlds most species won't approach. Planets so cruel they kill anything that lands. We call them death worlds. Joseph grunted and motioned for another drink. And we found one that defies belief. Volcanoes belching acid, lightning storms flaying rock, air that ignites lungs, gravity pulverizing bone. Joseph drained his glass. So, sounds like a great vacation spot. We need to go there, study it. The scientific revelations could change everything. But no probe lasts more than minutes. We need a crew, a ship. Boron's silver eyes glinted. Led by a human captain with nothing to lose. Joseph snorted. I suppose the hazard pay ain't bad. He leaned closer. But I pick my crew. Humans. One's as desperate and crazy as me. An engineer who can patch holes with duct tape and a prayer. A pilot who dodges asteroids for fun. A doc who stitched up species I can't even name. Boron nodded eagerly. Joseph slammed his glass down. One condition. We get there, you need to guarantee we get any supplies or staff to survive that hellhole. A slow grin spread across Boron's face. Even if you only last a few days, Captain, the data you gather will be invaluable. As Joseph stood to go round up his crew of misfits and madmen, a chill crawled his spine. He'd bet his ship they'd need a lot more than days to crack Deathworld's secrets. Humanity's survival depended on it. As Joseph's ship hurtled towards the angry, roiling Deathworld, a sense of raw fear gripped the crew. The viewscreen showed angry red and black storm clouds of poisonous vapors swirling and flashing with arcs of deadly lightning. Boron the scientist stepped forward, his pale face grim. I've analyzed the probe data on this hellscape, he said. The average temperature is 900 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead, with bursts up to 1,500 degrees when solar flares erupt. The air is a toxic soup of sulfuric acid, methane, and carbon monoxide, 90 times the pressure of Earth's atmosphere. And the gravity is 5 Gs. It'll crush your internal organs to pulp if you're out there more than a few minutes. The crew members glanced at each other, each silently wondering how long they'd last before the planet killed them. Fear shone in their eyes, but Joseph just nodded, his face carved from granite. Mac, get to work modifying our environment suits, he barked. Line them with that new polymer you cooked up, the stuff that can take 2,000-degree heat and 100 atmospheres of pressure. The wiry engineer saluted. Aye, aye, Cap, I'll have 'em ready in 2 shakes. Joseph turned to Zara, his pilot. Chart us a course that keeps us in the planet's shadow as much as possible. I don't want to give those solar flares any extra chances to fry us. Yes, sir, she said, hands already dancing over her controls. Doc, Joseph said, I need you to juice us up with something that'll let us survive 5 Gs without our eyeballs popping out. The grizzled medic frowned. I've got a cocktail that might do it, but it's only theoretical, never been tested. Well, it's about to get a hell of a trial by fire, Joseph said. As Mac frantically reinforced the suits, Zara desperately tried to plot a survivable course, and Doc pumped them full of experimental drugs. Joseph watched the roiling hell planet grow in the viewscreen. He knew they were pushing their bodies and gear right to the ragged edge. This was a desperate Hail Mary with the slimmest odds of success. But if any crew in the galaxy could pull it off, it was this collection of misfits and mad geniuses. And with humanity's fate riding on their mission, failure wasn't an option. The ship plunged into the dense atmosphere, instantly attacked by hurricane winds and searing heat. The hull groaned and the deck lurched violently. "Strap in, ladies and gents," Joseph roared over the intercom. "This ain't gonna be no pleasure cruise. We're in for the ride of our goddamn lives." Narrator. As the crew found themselves trapped against the sheer obsidian cliff, the beast closing in for the kill, Joseph barked out orders. "Mac, find us a way out of this mess!" Mac scanned the cliff face, his augmented vision picking up pulsing energy veins snaking through the rock. "Cap these veins. They're some kind of geothermal conduit. If we tap into that juice, it might give us the edge we need." Joseph nodded curtly. "Do it, Zara. Keep that thing occupied." "With pleasure." Zara ignited her thrusters and shot towards the beast, pulsing the jets in dizzying patterns. The creature bellowed in rage, lunging at her with snapping jaws. But Zara danced away, luring it across the nightmarish hellscape. She jinked and juked, narrowly avoiding spurts of acid and fields of jagged spikes. The beast roared in frustration, its massive talons gouging molten furrows in the ground as it gave chase. Back at the cliff, Mac and Doc worked frantically, jury-rigging an energy siphon from scraps of their wrecked gear. Joseph stood guard, rifle trained on the rampaging beast, ready to lay down covering fire if Zara's luck ran out. Mac jammed the makeshift device into a pulsing vein. The conduit flared, angry and incandescent. He primed the siphon, aiming it squarely at the beast. Zara cartwheeled away as a concentrated beam of searing energy lanced out, spearing the charging creature. It screamed as the beam burned through its armored hide, flesh sizzling and crackling. Writhing in agony, the beast thrashed and flailed. But Mac held the beam steady, pouring on the power. With a final guttural roar, the creature crashed to the ground and lay still, smoke curling from its seared corpse. The crew stumbled together, battered and spent, but alive. They had stared into the abyss, into the very maw of hell itself, and they had triumphed, not through brute force but through quick wits, iron nerve, and unbreakable bonds of loyalty. Narrator. As the smouldering corpse of the beast lay before them, Joseph and his crew wasted no time. Mac pulled out a glinting, razor-sharp sampling blade, carving thick slabs of flesh from the creature's hide. The meat sizzled and smoked, still superheated from the battle. Zara knelt by the cliff face, chiseling out chunks of the strange, pulsating veins that had been their salvation. "We need to understand how these things work," Joseph said, peering at a luminescent sample. "How they channel and direct energy could be the key to surviving this hellhole." But even as they worked, a prickling sense of unease crept up their spines. Doc scanned the shadows, his rifle at the ready. "I don't like this," he muttered. "Feels like we're being watched." No sooner had the words left his lips than a piercing scream shattered the eerie silence. The crew whirled to see Boron, flailing in the grip of a seething swarm of bioluminescent creatures, the same skittering horrors they'd seen before, but now moving with a terrifying singular purpose. "Help me!" Boron shrieked, his voice laced with primal terror. "Please!" Joseph and the others bolted towards him, bounding over the treacherous terrain. But the swarm moved with blinding speed, dragging the Acamarian scientist towards a gaping, pulsating cave. Zara fired her thrusters, trying to close the distance, but it was too late. With a sickening wet squelch, the swarm yanked Boron into the maw of the cave, the entrance sealed shut behind them, flesh knitting with rock, trapping their comrade inside. The crew stood in stunned silence, chests heaving, minds reeling. A cold realization crept over them, as inexorable as the planet's crushing gravity. "This place," Mac whispered, his face ashen. "It's not just a planet, it's alive, it's one giant predator." Joseph clenched his fists, his suit creaking with the force of his grief and rage. "It lures in ships, explorers, scientists, then picks us off, devours us." With leaden steps, the crew trudged back to their ship, Boron's screams still echoing in their ears. They had the samples, the data they needed, but the cost had been devastating. As the ship blasted free of the Deathworld's atmosphere, Joseph sat in the cockpit, his eyes hard as flint. "We'll be back," he vowed. "We'll crack this planet's secrets, learn how to beat it, and we'll make damn sure no one else falls into its trap." He gazed out at the stars, jaw set with determination. "We'll show the galaxy what humanity can do, that we never stop fighting, no matter how high the odds or how steep the price." You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.